First, the headlines. Rivers APC governorship candidate Tony Cole appeals annulment of primaries. Minister of Niger Delta Affairs insists ex-Sole Administrator Effiong Akwa must account for 300 billion contracts awarded without due process. Appeal Court reverses sacking of Umahia deputy for dumping the PDP for APC. U.S. agency says insecurity floods to reduce Nigeria's rice production by 7%. Husband of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi assaulted after break-in at their home. Afrobeat star Wizkid releases new single full album out November 4. Nigeria's table tennis star Quadri Aruna bows out in first round of Global Championship. And now the rest of our stories. The gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressive Congress, APC in Rivers State, Tony Cole, has urged his supporters to remain calm following the annulment of the party's primaries by a federal high court in Port Harcourt. Justice E.A. Obile had last Tuesday nullified the primaries of the state APC in a matter filed by one George Olu and 4 other aggrieved members of the party. The aggrieved members in the suit who claimed to have purchased nomination forms had approached the court requesting that the primaries of APC in the state be nullified following their alleged exclusion in the process. Justice Obile in his ruling held that the aggrieved persons were shut out of the primaries unlawfully, adding that the process amounted to nullity. A statement from the party read Tony Patrick Cole, the Rivers State APC All Progressive Congress governorship candidate, has appealed the ruling nullifying the APC primaries conducted in Rivers State by the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. Cole, who expressed unwavering regard for the judicial process, cited the claimant's request to nullify the election as self-serving and cowardly on the basis that none of them were registered members of the party when they filed the case in court. African Global Development for Positive Change Initiative, a non-governmental organization, has disclosed plans to bring stakeholders across the globe to an international conference scheduled to hold on November 28, 2022 at the Presidential Hotel in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. President of RD Africa, Dr. Prince Dan Bachi, said the organization would be collaborating on the conference with Botswana Society for Development, adding that the conference would attract foreign investors to the state and the nation. He therefore urged indigenous businessmen and women to take advantage of the conference to open business interactions. He said in pursuance of its 5-point agenda of peace, building environment, renewable energy, agriculture and health, it intends to draw keynote speakers from various countries to talk on prospects and opportunities available for investors. In his words, the conference is going to champion a new course in terms of food security, in terms of health, in terms of environment, and we are also expecting paper presentations from different universities in the world. Participants will have a lot to learn. We are bringing companies from the Netherlands who specialize in building agro-parks, companies from Finland that work on recycling of waste to wealth, and several other areas. The ultimate plan is to create jobs for unemployed persons in the state, region, and the nation at large, improving the environment as well as endanger a better living standard for our people. On the flood-ravaging communities in the country, Mbachi said the conference would dwell on it with the aim of finding lasting solutions, adding that the organization was reaching out to relevant agencies, ministries, oil companies, traditional rulers, financial institutions, and universities in the states, as well as Niger Delta and agro-based organizations to come and take advantage of the opportunity, while each of the 23 local government areas in the state are expected to sponsor 3 delegates to the conference. A former security advisor to Bayelsa State Government Chief Berekeme Bodo has called on Governor Doedri to deploy ecological funds that accrued to the state to help flood victims. He said it was time for Diri to use the billions of naira he had so far collected as ecological funds to mitigate the damage done by the floods and sufficiently ameliorate the sufferings of the people. He described as unacceptable the repeated calls by Diri for federal government help, saying the governor should first show capacity with the resources at his disposal. Bodo said people should hold Governor Diri responsible and compel him to account for all the money he had received so far as ecological funds. Such money is meant for a time like this. It is not sufficient to be crying wolf and seeking external assistance. What have you done with the resources available to you? This intervention was belated and insufficient. There were warnings that Bayelsa and some other states would be flooded. However, the governor went about his business without making provisions to mitigate the floods. Nothing was done. All the drains were not cleared. People were not sensitized and prepared to face the disaster. No higher grounds were built. We saw how the Kaduna state government prepared its citizens before the floods. Unknown gunmen still at large have reportedly killed a herds boy and buried his corpse in a shallow grave in Akuku, Ibo, Oshimili North local government area of Delta State. The fleeing gunmen were said to have also opened fire on the cattle and killed 3 while some cattle fled in different directions of the forest. The killing has also caused tension in Akuku Ibo community. The traditional ruler of Akuku Ibo, Obi Azuka, called on the law enforcement agencies to find and apprehend the perpetrators. He said, "I want peace in my domain." Vigilantes in the community were said to have combed the area before they sighted the shallow grave the boy was buried in after the mother. Reports have it that the search team took the corpse of the young boy to the Akuku police station, where the family made a report and the remains were released to the family for burial on Thursday, according to Islamic rites. Confirming the development, the Delta State Police Command spokesperson DSP Bright Edafe disclosed that the assailants were on the run. The People's Democratic Party in Cross River State has described yesterday's presentation of the 330 billion naira budget of Quantum Infinitum by Governor Ben Ayade as embarrassing. Party chairman Vena Ikem said it is madness to budget in a single year 330 billion naira, whereas the entire revenue accrued to the state from the Federation account from 2015 to June, when he took over to July 2022, is 249 billion naira. This irresponsible presentation to budgeting is an embarrassment to the state and has gone on for 7 years. The PDP chairman said it was a sham that Governor Ayade was only making a mockery of himself, adding that the whole country has seen him as a jester. He said details from the National Bureau of Statistics had shown the hollowness of the budget, describing it as a worthless piece of expenditure planning. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has been advised against going ahead with his planned appointment of 20,000 senior special advisors and special advisors. A pro-democracy group, the International Transparency and Good Governance for Africa Initiative, gave the admonition, saying the appointment of numerous aides by state governors has become a strategy for winning election in the midst of poor performance by such states' chief executives. It described the practice as a grievous act of corruption and urged the legislative and anti-graft agencies to intervene to prevent public resources from being wasted on unproductive and unwanted aides. The group, in a statement, charged the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and other anti-graft agencies to demonstrate the political will to deal with the situation and condemned the recent appointment of not fewer than 40,000 special assistants and senior special assistants by the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike as the 2023 general elections approach. Executive Director Cheryl Olusanya, who signed the statement, described the move by Obaseki as an act capable of discrediting elections in the country. Olusanya said similar appointment of Obaseki in 2020 contributed largely to the tension that followed the election in Edo State. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Obong Umana, has said disengaged sole administrator of Niger Delta Development Commission, Effiong Akwa, must account for 300 billion naira project awarded without due process under his watch. Umana, who was on a working visit to Rivers State yesterday, as directed acting managing director of the commission, Emmanuel Audu Waborua, to mobilize a SETRACO contractor handling the Rivers Bayelsa section of the East-West Road to intervene on the portions washed off by devastating floods. Addressing the commission's staff, the minister said the perception is that NDDC has failed. There is also the perception about widespread endemic corruption in the commission. True or false? I don't think it is a good story that you go somewhere and you're introduced as a staff of NDDC, and the first thing the person must be thinking about is that this must be the one of the corrupt ones. Already we are talking about indebtedness of over 3 trillion, and one man will still sit alone and issue letters of another 300 billion naira without following due processes. And this was during pendency of the forensic audit. And I've seen people bring papers to me. One person will bring 10, 15 papers talking about emergency repairs of failed portions of roads 2 kilometers, 800 million in Delta, Abia, and Imo states. If you use 800 million to fix 2 kilometers of failed portions, how much are you going to use to construct the road? I just knew the conditions for the forensic audit were not conducive for the for the probe to be carried out, because if the perpetrators were the ones to support execution of the audits, then it wasn't going to make any sense. Anybody who stands in the way to undermine the directive of Mr. President will be appropriately sanctioned. Some contractors will be blacklisted, including the directors, from the report of the forensic audits. We will take note of that, because people are still awarding and signing contracts from their homes even when they have left the commission. This is anarchy, impunity. Former President of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, has sympathized with victims of the ravaging floods across Nigeria and charges citizens and humanitarian agencies to demonstrate solidarity with the victims. He appealed for support for the victims in a statement posted on his verified Facebook page late Thursday. Jonathan, who visited some affected communities in Bayelsa State, including his Otueke hometown, said it was a depressing situation in many of the affected areas. He said in the statement, "I sympathize with the victims of this year's flood across many states of the Federation, who have lost loved ones and properties worth millions. The worsening humanitarian crisis in the affected states calls for urgent action and collaboration by all stakeholders." He said, "I am touched by the dire situation in some of the affected states, especially my home state, Bayelsa, where almost all the local government areas are submerged in water, and the East-West Road section leading to the state has become impassable, creating scarcity of food and essential commodities. Today, I visited Otueke, my community, and a few other communities in Bayelsa State to have an assessment of the impact of the flood. It is still a depressing situation in many of the affected communities because of the magnitude of the flood and the disruption and destruction it has caused. This is a moment of crisis. We need to work in unity to achieve the goal of giving hope and providing succor to all victims. I urge all citizens of goodwill and humanitarian agencies to demonstrate solidarity with these victims and provide support to those affected." The decision of People's Democratic Party to call off its presidential campaign rallies in Ekiti, Ondo, Bayelsa, and Kebbi over the absence of its presidential candidate, Abubakar Atiku, is being seen as a subtle move to calm frayed nerves within the party. Mr. Emmanuel Bagudu, a guest on ATN Politics while commenting on the PDP's decision to cancel its presidential rallies in 4 states, said Atiku was running away to douse tension which he created during his appearance at the Arewa Town Hall policy dialogue in Kaduna State.
But don't forget, Atiku has a lot of fishes to fry back home in Nigeria, going by the statements he made in Kaduna. And then of course I think he just wants to let let sleeping dogs calm the nerves of the tension he raised in Kaduna when he made sure that the Northerners should vote only Northerners, and the fact that Governor Samuel Otom is calling Fulanis bandits. Governor Samuel Otom is wrong for calling Fulani bandits and terrorists. Those are domestic issues that Atiku, when he returns from the US, is coming to face. And it's very, very clear, it's crystal clear that he suspended his proceedings in Ondo, Ekiti, and Bayelsa just because he wanted to just calm the nerves.
He said Atiku will travel and return back to the country to face the problem he created because he is at loggerheads with those who should have stepped in to help fix things in his absence.
And he's on his own. That is why the whole campaign has to be postponed in the first place. So I think the issue of calming nerves is very, very important. He is there trying to, make some permutations. his followers. But politics is local. What is very important, the people that are going to vote him are not in the US. The people that are going to vote him are Nigerians. And I believe he's drawing away to calm nerves of what he has said or what he has done while in Kaduna during the Arewa Constitutive Joint Forum in Kaduna. So I think those are the things that are making him to, travel. And it's best for him. But I hope that while traveling, he's also going to think of ways to, mend fences.
Mr. Bagudu, however, observed that Atiku will resume his campaign after observing the APC and other political parties that have been watching his flows.
And which the APC are going to capitalize on. So those are the things that I think he's going to observe, and next 2 weeks he's going to resume and counter all those things.
The PDP Presidential Campaign Organization on Friday announced the cancellation of its earlier scheduled presidential campaign rallies for Ekiti, Ondo, Kebbi, and Bayelsa states. The supplementary appropriation bill of 21 billion naira for 2022 sent to the State House of Assembly by the Governor Biodun Oyebanji has scaled the second reading. Deputy Speaker Hakim Jamiu, who presided at the plenary yesterday, informed the lawmakers of Governor Oyebanji's request to approve the supplementary budget. House Leader Boyega Ariboshogan, representing Ikole constituency 1, moved the motion for the bill to be committed to the whole House, and this was seconded by Tajuddin Akimbolu, representing Ekiti West Constituency 1. The legislators unanimously agreed with the leader's submission and referred to the bill to the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation to report back to the House within 1 week. Meanwhile, Governor Yebanji has appointed Mr. Rufus Olotona as the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service. This was contained in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary Yinka Oyebode, who said the appointment takes effect from November 1, 2022. Olotona is a chartered accountant and fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He holds a higher diploma in accountancy from the Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, and a Master of Business Administration from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Until his appointment, he was the Group Chief Financial Officer, Lostad Promedia Limited, a Lagos-based company with interest in advertising and multimedia. One Nasru Idris of Sabon Bernik local government area of Sokoto State has been apprehended by the Sokoto State Police Command for being in possession of 101 permanent voters card. Hussain Gumel, the Commissioner of Police, while briefing newsmen, explained that following credible information, the suspect was arrested on 10th October 2022 in Sabon Berni. The Commissioner of Police said the suspect could not explain how he came about the 101 PVCs. It is envisaged that the owners of these cards are not only from Sabon Berni local government, but could be from other parts of the state, because we could not trace the rightful owners of the PVC. Reacting to this, an Atlantic Television Network Society Watch public affairs analyst and social commentator Ayin Mosan Mufasa Wayne said INEC needs to take necessary measures to purge the system of the bad eggs that aid these illegalities and ensure an accurate statistics of the uncollected PVCs at various states. That way, he said, they can account for any missing card. He pointed out that the bad eggs in the system would continue to leverage on the loopholes to perpetrate their illegalities. Mufasa advised that the culprit be questioned to elicit clues towards reaching his sponsors and appropriate sanctions meted out so as to serve as a deterrent for others.
As the years go by, as the days go by, the INEC should always try to upgrade their system, purge the commission of these staffs, these dissident groups within the system who are, parts of all these shenanigans. Of course, even if it gets to the hands of this, like the young man that was, that was arrested with over 101 PVC. Who knows? Maybe he's taking it to go and deliver to, the Oga that sent him. If it gets to the Oga is going to use it to, perfect his, rigging plan that he has already, put in place somewhere. So it definitely, the election is going to go on as planned. Of course, it's not going to stop the elections from holding, but it's going to, enable these people, try to circumvent the system. Let me use that word for lack of a perfect word to use. But the INEC should always try. I keep saying that they should get the aggregate number of PVCs that were not collected. Okay. By so doing, you will know the actual people that have gotten their PVC. If it goes beyond that number at the end of the day, they can now begin to try to trace where that extra number, where it came from. Because if they don't have the accurate number of PVCs that was collected when the PVCs was, were given out to people, then some persons from within the commission, trying to take advantage of, that a loophole within the commission, to give those PVCs out to politicians, or people want to use it to rig the election. So that is the only way that we can prevent things like this. And anybody that was caught doing such things, whether the person is inside the commission, whether the person is outside the commission, if you are arrested, they should investigate properly.
And senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has urged Nigerians to join the struggle to rescue the nation from its current situation, saying this can easily be achieved if dedicated Nigerians take their political destinies in their hands. Falana came out with this at the 4th convocation of Augustine University, Lara Ekpe, Lagos State. He lamented that one of the challenges facing the nation was that it was being ruled by politicians without principle and character, hence the need to vote for competent and capable leaders to be at the helm of affairs in 2023. In his lecture titled Remaking Nigeria, the Youth as Change Agents, Falana said for Nigeria to survive and be useful to its citizens, African humanity, the nation needs to be remade. Vice Chancellor of the institution, Professor Christopher Odetunde, urged the graduating students not to be complainers, but to be in the forefront of helping the nation to take transformative steps towards development. He said the university was resolute in dealing with indisciplines such as cheating, examination malpractices, moral decadence, willful destruction of university property, drug abuse, cultism, and behavior that might tarnish the image and reputation of the institution. The Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Professor Umar Danbata, while contributing during the first Web Rangers Nigeria Summit in Abuja, Igugu's initiative that focuses on developing digital literacy and equipping telecom consumers with the knowledge required for the online safety, said it is imperative to know what children are doing in the cyberspace. A lecturer in the English Department, University of Port Harcourt, who was against an ATM blowouts, Ene Eric Kibifa, said the advisory coming from NCC should serve as a timely wake-up call to parents on issues surrounding cyberspace, as there are several dangers associated with unchecked cyberspace.
The advisory coming from the NCC, it should serve as a very timely wake-up call to parents, because there are a lot of things going on the internet, and so parents have to, install whatever gadgets they can to limit what their children do. Parents themselves also need to improve their knowledge of technology, because, these children, in some cases, as little as the age of 5, they know a lot about the internet and how to use it. So if you're not at their level, they could be smart enough to simply mislead you. So I think it's something that parents should pay attention to. There are all kinds of things that could arise from this. I was talking about terrorism. You've talked about child porn. Some people also, it is from here they learn to then begin to move into things like advanced free fraud, what we call Yahoo Yahoo in Nigeria now. So it's something parents need to pay attention to. It's a very, very important aspect of child rearing.
Speaking on the need for parents to be tech-savvy and the limit that parents can go, the public affairs analyst said parents need to know that their responsibilities do not end at providing material needs.
There are gadgets that children can use. There was a time the Osun State government gave tablets to students in the state. Those tablets, I don't think were connected to the internet, but they had in them almost the most comprehensive textbooks in all of the subjects. That could suffice without necessarily giving them access to the internet, because these things happen on the internet. So there are a lot of gadgets that could do all of these things and still bypass the internet. Now, with regard to the internet too, you could disable some things you could block some apps, you could prevent them from using some apps, and then regularly also you check their activities, look at their online footprints. What sites are they frequenting? The basic rule should be you shouldn't give your child something about which he knows much more than you do, at least at this stage. Something about which that child knows a lot more than you do. It's a risky thing because you never can tell what the child is going to do with that and how you are going to manage that vis-a-vis your own responsibility as a parent. Now, you talked about the moral decadence and then, the slide in moral values. Part of the problem also is that, there has been, some abdication of parental responsibility over time. It's been a trend, and, it's a worsening trend now. You see instances where parents are so concerned about meeting the material needs of their children that they forget that part of their own responsibility beyond meeting material needs is also the upbringing, the moral, the ethical upbringing of the children. So some parents assume that, it doesn't matter, as long as I provide them with all their material needs, as long as whatever they ask I provide for them, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I don't have a responsibility to sit down with them, know what friends they are making, know what kind of company they are keeping, know what kind of discussions they are having with those friends. And realize that that is also a very important part beyond giving them, making material things available to them. That's also part of your responsibility to also see how they grow to, impart values to them. Because as a matter
However, the public affairs analyst called on government to publicize the role of Computer Security Incidents Response Team CSIRT to ensure successful implementation.
That Nigerians can call when they feel that they're in danger of some form of cyberbullying or the other. That's the way to go. If you set up a unit within the NCC and nobody knows about the activities of that unit, and that unit is supposed to serve the public in a very critical situation like this, then you might as well not set up that unit if nobody knows about the existence of the unit. So for me, the way to go with this is to publicize the activities of the CSET and also have a functional help desk, possibly that runs 24 hours, so people can call and then, make reports, and then, ameliorations can be, created. But beside all of that, for me, I have a feeling that this was set up primarily to look at things like cyber attack possibly on the national or the governmental level. Although we are not there yet, I don't think we've got to that stage where we have a functional e-governance system. But in societies where they have that, it's the next frontier for threats. Because, an enemy nation wishing to target you can simply just release a malware that crashes your entire system, and then you lose data, and then that can simply bring the government to a halt. We've seen instances, I think some time ago in Britain, where flights had to be stopped because the web account or the website of some very...
In order to continue the enhancement of capacities and performances of all corps formation across the country, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps is organizing a 3-day workshop for state commandants and their public relations officers from 2nd to 4th November 2022. The training with the theme Managing Sensitive Conflict Communication Amidst Rising Insecurity for Organizational Development is first of its kind, and at the instance of the Commandant General Dr. Ahmed Abubakar Audi, whose administration places high premium on training and the organization's growth. The conference will expose participants who are major stakeholders and gatekeepers of the cause to the ideals of actualizing the mandate of the cause through effective repositioning and good communication approaches. Other areas of emphasis include strategic sensitive conflict communications during the forthcoming 2023 general elections and their crisis situation. Resource persons drawn from the conference are core professionals in the media, academia, and security experts. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break.
live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports,
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today. Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Good to have you back. This is still the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has reversed the March 8 judgment by Justice Ian Ekwer of the Federal High Court, Abuja, sacking Ebonyi State Governor David Umahi and his deputy for defecting from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. Justice Ekwer in March said the move from the PDP to the APC was illegal and unconstitutional. The judgment followed suit filed by the People's Democratic Party seeking the removal of the governor and his deputy from office for abandoning the party. Justice Ekwer said that the positions of the third and fourth defendants, Umahi and Igwe, in their counter affidavits were evasive and insufficient to competently challenge the plaintiff's originating process. It was the opinion of the court that the immunity clause in Section 308 of the Constitution was not absolute. But in his lead judgment, Justice Haruna Tsanami of the Appellate Court held that the only option open to a political party aggrieved by the defection of a governor or deputy governor is to explore the impeachment option provided in the Nigerian Constitution. The Court of Appeal in Abuja aligned with an earlier decision on the same issue given by the courts in Enugu Division. President Muhammadu Buhari has returned to Abuja from Seoul, the South Korean capital, where he attended the First World Bio Summit 2022. The president's official jet touched down at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, before 6 a.m., ending his 6-day working visit to the Asian country. While in Seoul, Buhari most notably witnessed the signing of a memorandum of understanding for the rehabilitation of the Kaduna refinery between the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Daewoo Group of South Korea. Buhari said Daewoo Group has massive investments in the automobile, maritime and other sectors of our economy. I am also aware that Daewoo is currently engaged in the execution of the NLNG Train 7 project and also constructing sea-going LPG vessels for NNPC and her partners. The Nigerian President delivered a statement to world leaders at the summit and held several of high-level consultations and bilateral meetings, especially one with his South Korean counterpart Yoon Suk Yeol and the Speaker of the country's National Assembly, Mr. Kim Jin-pyo, and called for an expansion of the Nigerian-South Korean trade relations, urging investors to consider Nigeria as fertile soil for their business activities. While meeting the immediate past Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, Buhari lamented that Nigeria is already experiencing the negative fallout of climate change seen in flooding, desert encroachment and droughts experienced in various parts of the country, but expressed delight with the existing cooperation between Nigeria and the Republic of Korea, especially in the area of energy supply. The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, has requested for more funding for his ministry in order to achieve the open defecation-free nation by 2025. The minister made the request when he appeared before the House Committee on Water Resources to defend his ministry's 2023 budget proposal. Adamu, who disclosed that 100 local government areas in Nigeria would soon be declared open defecation-free by the end of 2022, said Nigeria will be hosting the World Toilet Summit in November this year. He also gave a breakdown of the budget of the ministry as proposed for the 2023 fiscal year.
In the same vein, our effort in the area of sanitation and hygiene, which immensely supported the ministry, especially the Clean Nigeria campaign, has gained momentum nationwide. The campaign, however, needs to be sustained with adequate funding in order to achieve the objective of an open defecation-free nation by 2025. Let me seize the opportunity to inform you, one, that hopefully by the end of this year we are likely to have close to 100 LGAs that are open defecation-free. Now we have a total of 84 and quite a number under validation at the moment. And to also inform you that the World Toilet Organization, which has been responsible for getting the United Nations to dedicate November 19th of each year as World Toilet Day, has offered to to organize the World Toilet Summit for 2022 here in Abuja on the 18th and 19th of November 2022. This is a recognition of the efforts that we'll be making towards eradicating open defecation in the country. And this is only the second time that it's going to be hosted in Africa. Countries all over the world have signified their readiness to attend the summit, and preparations are in top gear. The breakdown is that costs 2.3 billion for the ministry, 7.497 billion for agencies, 296.8 million, 296.8 million for overhead costs for the agency, for the ministry, and 1.169 million for the agencies. The capital proposal, the ministry 174.38 billion and 26.18 billion for the agencies. And I would like you to please take note, Mr. Chairman, I think you have also mentioned it, that under the main ministry budget there is a provision of 147.7 billion of that budget is for 6 items for multilateral and bilateral project-tied loan drawdowns, some of which belong to state governments that were captured under the ministry. And I think Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning will be best to explain this.
Earlier in his remarks, the Chairman House Committee on Water Resources, Honorable Sada Soli Njibia, decried the low amount of funds allocated to the minister, considering the huge project it will be embarking on for the year.
One amazing thing that I have observed in this year's budget of the ministry, the budget is so big, but it's so small. It was baffling when I had the expo of the budget before the presentation. I was jumping around. Then the Ministry of Water Resources is going to be given 200 billion. Then I said my members and the Nigerians will smile. But unfortunately, I don't know whether my members have gone through the budget. For those that have not gone through the budget, if you can kindly have a look into the budget, you'll be disappointed. But we know what we're going through. The budget is big, with 200 billion budget allocated to Federal Ministry of Water Resources, or water sector rather than water resources ministry. The budget, 200 billion was allocated to water resources across the country, both national and main ministry, even the basins, even some states were put under the water sector. And I don't know why they should take money for a state and then put it under the ministry's budget. I don't know. I'm still trying to find out. You will jubilate, but at the end you will lock up yourself in a room and cry, because this budget to the ministry is quite meager, is very small, considering the level of infrastructure loaded under the ministry. The ministry is purely infrastructure ministry, and so that is the mystery about the budget 2023 allocated to the water sector.
Ada Ona Ifewodo reports that key items in the 2023 budget of the ministry include funding for new hydrology departments, public-private units in the ministry, purchase of solar inverter as alternative source of power, amongst others. Nigeria's opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, has postponed its rallies over its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar's trip to the United States for political meetings. The party's presidential campaign organization director of field operations, Umar Bature, came out with this in a press statement on Thursday, stated that its presidential rallies earlier scheduled to be held in Ondo, Kebbi, Ekiti, and Bayelsa states would no longer hold as scheduled. The campaign organization added that new dates would be communicated once they were fixed. This is to formally inform all management of the PCO, he read. He said that in view of candidates' trip to the United States, a presidential rallies earlier scheduled for Ekiti, Ondo, Kebbi, and Bayelsa states will no longer hold as scheduled. New dates will be communicated once they are fixed. All inconveniences regrettable. Economic and Financial Crime Commission's investigating officer Shehu Shuaibu on Thursday told the Federal High Court in Lagos that the 4.6 billion naira allegedly transferred into a joint trust account was used to finance the 2015 presidential campaign of former President Goodluck Jonathan. Shuaibu stated this while testifying before the Justice Daniel Osiago in the trial of former Minister of Finance, Senator Nenadi Usman, former Minister of Aviation Femi Fani Kayode, and two others over alleged money laundering and their fraud-related offences. During cross-examination by Usman's counsel, Mr. Ferdinand Obi, he said his team from the Special Task Force of the EFCC did not invite former President Jonathan throughout their investigation because the ex-president was not the one that expended the money. The witness admitted that the first defendant, Usman, was the Director of Finance for President Jonathan's campaign organization, while the second defendant, Fani Kayode, was the Director of Media and Publicity of the organization. On those that transferred money into the joint trust account, he said that, to the best of my knowledge, I do not know whether those that transferred money into the joint trust accounts were charged in court or not. I'm not a lawyer and would not know why they have not been charged before the courts. Reactions have continued to trail the trip by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, to Washington, D.C. in the United States of America for political campaigns. The former VP arrived in the U.S. alongside the Director General of the PDP presidential campaign, Governor Aminu Tambuwa, former Imo State Governor Mecca Ihedioha, and High Chief Raymond Dukwesi. He was welcomed by former Senate President Bukola Saraki, Dino Melai, Frank Shuaibu, amongst other aides. Reacting to the diaspora campaigns by the presidential candidate of PDP is the socio-political analyst who appeared on ATN's Open Conversation, Chief Loveday Okere. He raised an eyebrow, casting blames on the international community who play major roles in determining who the leader of popular nations like Nigeria becomes.
America or France. If you don't get their backing, yes, we are the one casting the vote, but somehow it will be difficult for you to be president, especially UK and America. So I'm sure that may have caused the reason why you see them running to UK, America, France, Spain to hold meetings, to consult, to do one thing. Even you remember that when Trump became president of America, there was an accusation that Russia played a certain role that made Trump to become president. So international communities have rules that they play for anybody to be a president, especially popular nations like Nigeria in Africa. But that, be that as it may, I want to say that for me, I think it's not the first to have traveled. But what I'm questioning now is the number of persons that is following him to travel. I'm sure that is also how they are Western Nigeria funds traveling from one place, chartering a private jet, you know, from time to time. Obi traveled to Egypt sometime, say he was going to study about power, how to stabilize power in the country. Then Ahmed Bola Tinubu was in Spain, maybe once or twice. He was accused that he went for his medical trip or whatever. Now Atiku is here now in America, even though this is not the first time he's traveling. For me, if I'm contesting to be president of Nigeria, whatever I will do within the confines of the law that is not against the interests of or against the law of Nigeria, for me to be president, I will do it. That is what they are trying to do, trying to get support here and there. But my worry here is that the people who will cast these votes are here in Nigeria. Is there something they are not telling Nigerians that is making them go over there to either hold meetings, decide on what to do, to consult? Because for you to be president in Nigeria, it will be determined by the number of votes that have been casting from polling units across Nigeria. And the people that are supposed to cast this vote are not hearing from the candidates that are supposed to govern us as presidents. So it should worry every Nigerian. Imagine the number of persons you have counted here now that are in America. These are personalities that are known. There may be some other ones. They didn't tell us about the heirs that are with them, which means well over 50 Nigerians are now in America, talking about how Atiku will become president. So I'm worried over that.
All right. Thank you.
Instead, we should see Nigeria as the battleground, not battle.
development and expert communicator and public affairs analyst Marcus Sijoma said thuggery and violence have moved from polling units to online. He said he suspects that most trips made abroad in the name of diaspora campaigns are yet to employ devices on how to hack the system of INEC. Marcus further stated that INEC server is not safe and they have to be very vigilant in this election period.
But it's happening, it's painful, because this is what Fela calls Kolo mentality. So presidential candidates are going abroad to hold meetings. But again, they are running away from the people they are supposed to govern. Maybe their houses are overcrowded with people, so they don't have the privacy of meeting. But what happened to hotels? We have well-secured hotels that you can have private meetings and nobody will know you are there. But another thing you must watch out for, in 2019, there was a comment credited to the then presidential candidate, who is also the presidential candidate of PDP now, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, saying that, his campaign team rather, saying that he was winning on the server at the time when INEC had no such server. Now INEC has a server. We heard of the Dubai server. Now that we have a genuine server, everybody is going abroad to look for hackers, and INEC has to watch out for this.
You feel so?
That is what is going on. Everybody is looking for foreign aid because thuggery and violence have moved online. You know, you people have been brandishing the fact that, oh, this vote is going to be free and fair, and there'll be no rigging, there'll be no ballot snatching, votes will count. When you put your card reader will read it, you can't get more than valid votes. Somebody can, if they can hack your bank account, INEC server is not safe. INEC server is not safe. Whoever built that server for INEC is still alive. And these politicians, if they have access to such person, so if they check America and the person that built the server is not there, they will meet in Israel. If they don't find the person in Israel, they'll meet in UK. If they don't find the person in UK, they will continue to meet until they find who designed the INEC server. There must be rigging. So INEC has got to wake up.
As news of insecurity have continued to unsettle Nigeria's seat of power, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command has received 20 of the 60 operational vehicles donated to 60 security outfits within the Federal Capital Territory. Spokesperson of the police, DSP Josephine Ade, said the Minister of FCT, Mohammed Musa Bello, in his goodwill message just before the vehicles were test-driven and handed over to the FCT Commissioner of Police, CP Babaji Sunday, noted that the donation came with 3 years paid servicing schedule and was one of the several measures by the current administration to ensure that the country was safe before its succession. The minister also noted that the 6 area councils will be supported with 500 million naira in the commencement of a better community policing strategy and other security-related gadgets to be controlled by the Central Command and Control Center domiciled in the FCT Police Command, and commended security operatives for their gallantry and selfless services, especially those who have paid the ultimate price in the course of discharging their duties. Bello expressed confidence in the security apparatus and architecture of the territory and noted that the newly donated vehicles will enhance optimal security delivery via prompt response and feasibility policing. He said the CP, upon receiving the donation on behalf of the command, reiterated the very words of the minister, noting that for every crime successfully committed, several others have been nipped in the bud. He consequently urged residents to play their roles by reporting suspicious activities to relevant agencies. He also wishes to corroborate the minister's assertion that the FCT is safe and members of the public are urged to go about their lawful businesses without the fear of harassment or molestation of any kind from any quarters. The Independent National Electoral Commission has called for more partnership with civil society organizations toward cleaning the nation's voters register ahead of the 2023 poll. Chairman of INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, who said this at the Commission's quarterly meeting with CSOs in Abuja on Thursday, disclosing that 12.3 million new voters successfully completed their registrations at the just concluded continued voter registration. Yakubu said that after a rigorous cleaning up of the data using the Automated Biometric Identification System, ABIS, a total of 2.8 million, representing 22 0.6% was identified as ineligible registrants and invalidated from the record as a result of double or multiple registrations, underage persons, and outright fake registrations. He said that after the delisting of the ineligible registrants, a total of 9.5 million newly registered voters has been added to the existing 84 million voters, which gave Nigeria a total of preliminary 93.52 million registered voters. The INEC chairman said that in accordance with the law, the commission would be publishing the hard copies of the new registers and designated centers of the 8,809 registration areas and 774 local government areas across the country, and the entire register on its website from Saturday, November 12th to Friday, 25th November for claims and objections by Nigerians. He said, I would like to appeal to all Nigerians to seize the opportunity of the display to scrutinize the list and help us clean it further so that the final registers of registered voters for the 2020 general elections can be compiled and published. We played our own part, which is to do the initial cleaning up of the register, but the law required that Nigerians should help us, and that is why we are printing 9.3 million copies of the register and displaying same at the wards and local governments nationwide. Now to business stories. Production of rice in the country has been predicted to fall by 7% within the year, following insecurity and recent flooding, which has eroded rice producing areas. The period under review starts from October 2022 to September 2023. The United States Agriculture Department, in its latest reports, said Nigeria Grain and Feed Update noted that the households have started to see a substantial increase in the average price of bags of rice, rising to about 50%. This, in some cases, translates to 45,000 from 31,000. According to it, production was expected to decline to 7.8 million metric tons from 8.4 million tons, and area harvested was expected to shrink by 7% to 3.4 million hectares in the current marketing year. The department said floods in September was washed away thousands of hectares of rice farms at the maturing stage, adding that yield increased marginally due to good weather, improved management practices, and improved varieties. Rice imports are estimated to fall to 1.5 million tons, down from 2.2 million tons the previous marketing year due to a partial ban in 2022 to 2021 to 2022. It revealed that between 2022 and 2023, rice consumption was estimated at 6.9 million tons, and decline of 5% due to higher prices amid dwindling consumer purchasing power. Elon Musk took control of Twitter and fired its top executives late Thursday in a deal that puts one of the leading platforms for global discourse in the hands of the world's richest man. Following the takeover, Musk tweeted that the bird is freed, referencing the company's iconic avian logo, and wasted no time sacking Chief Executive Parag Agrawal, as well as the company's Chief Financial Officer and its Head of Safety. Agrawal previously went to court to hold the Tesla chief to the terms of a deal he had tried to escape. The takeover came hours before the court-appointed deadline for Musk to seal his on-again, off-again deal to purchase the social media network. Musk tweeted earlier in the day that he was buying Twitter because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner. Twitter did not immediately reply to requests for comment on the departure of its top executive, but the platform's co-founder, Biz Stone, thanked the trio, Agrawal, Ned Segal, and Vijaya Gade, for their collective contribution to Twitter, saying massive talent, all and beautiful humans each. You're still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next, it's international tidbits. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband has been violently assaulted after a break-in at their home by an assailant who is reported to have been arrested. While Paul Pelosi, 82, has been taken to a hospital for medical attention. Ms. Pelosi spokesperson Drew Hamilton said earlier this morning an accident broke into the Pelosi residence in San Francisco and violently assaulted Mr. Pelosi. The assailant is in custody and the motivation for the attack is under investigation. Mr. Pelosi was taken to the hospital where he is receiving excellent medical care and is expected to make a full recovery. The speaker was not in San Francisco at the time. It comes after Mr. Pelosi was convicted of drink driving following his involvement in a crash in May. He was sentenced to 5 days in jail in Napa County, California, but was allowed to serve just one night. Mr. Pelosi owns a real estate and venture capital firm. United Kingdom's General Medical Council has licensed fresh 91 Nigerian-trained doctors. The accreditation of the doctors occurred over 15 days between October 10 and October 25, 2022, bringing the total number of Nigerian-trained doctors in the UK now to 10,387. There are 5,210 associate specialists, 2,318 doctors in training, 1,837 general practitioners, and 1,273 specialists among the 10,387 doctors. The accreditation of the 91 doctors came amidst cries by the Nigerian Medical Association against the brain drain bedeviling the health sector in Nigeria. Apart from doctors, other categories of health workers are also being migrating. Between January 1, 2022 and September 30, 2022, about 1,307 Nigerian-trained doctors were licensed in the UK as Nigeria continues to battle one of the worst situations of brain drain in its history. Nigerian doctors who got medical qualifications in schools outside the country are, however, not included in the data. The Medical Association in the country, while lamenting the high rate of medical brain drain, said Nigeria may import doctors in the future. Nigeria currently has the third highest number of foreign doctors working in the UK after India and Pakistan. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida of Japan has said the country will spend $260 billion on a stimulus package to cushion the economy from the impact of inflation and the weak yen. However, the central bank, in refusing to budge from the ultra-loose policy that has hammered the Japanese currency this year, wiping out more than 20% of its value against the dollar. The government hopes the 39 trillion yen in fiscal spending will rise to 72 trillion when private sector investments are taken into account. Kishida said after ministers approved an extra budget to partly fund relief measures. He said, we want to protect people's livelihoods, employment and businesses while strengthening our economy for the future. He added that the move should help push up GDP by 4.6%. Prices are rising in Japan at their fastest rate in 8 years, although the 3% inflation rate remains well below the sky-high levels seen in the United States and elsewhere. Friday's package, funded by a special budget of $200 billion, will include measures to encourage wage growth and support households with energy bills which have spiked since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Well, he said, we'll aim to push down prices by more than 1.2% next year by lowering electricity bills by 20% and curbing gas line prices, Kishida said. It is also designed to help people and businesses affected by the plummeting yen, currently at 147 against the dollar. Also from Britain comes this report that Gemma Mitchell, 38, became the first woman in the UK to be sentenced live on television for killing Mi Kuen Chong, 67, also known as Deborah, and dumping her headless body in some woodland more than 200 miles away in Southcombe, Devon. Judge Richard Marks, KC, in the sentence described Mitchell as extremely devious. The judge told her, you have shown absolutely no remorse. It appears you are in complete denials as to what you did, despite the overwhelming evidence against you. The enormity of your crime is profoundly shocking, even more so given your apparent religious devotion, as well as the fact that Deborah Chung was a good friend to you and has shown you good kindness. The judge said, Michelle, and her mother were living in a house in Willesden, northwest London, and had been cheated out of most of the 230,000 euro they paid to builders to add another floor to the property. And now to some entertainment news. Nigeria's music star Ayo Balogun, popularly known as Wizkid, has released a new song, Money and Love, of his next album, More Love, Less Ego. The song was released earlier on Friday, as announced by the singer on his Twitter page. The artist also stated that his much anticipated album would be released on November 4, 2022. Sharing the pre-order link for his album on Friday, Wizkid wrote, More Love, Less Ego for November. He also revealed the artwork for the album cover and shortly after announced the release of Money and Love, stating that the video for the song would be out soon. Fans hailed the singer after the release of the song as they expect the new album. One of his fans said Wizkid's new music is dope. Instrumentation was crazy. Another fan, I think I am obsessed with this song. It's from another dimension. With the 2023 presidential election in perspective, several music, movie, and comedy stars are working to ensure that their preferred presidential candidates clinch the top position in the country. Through some of the top stars seem to be sitting on the fence. Celebrities who decided to show interest in the forthcoming presidential elections are either supporting the Progressive Congress flag bearer Asiwaju Bola Tinubu or the candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. Some of the celebrities were conspicuously seen during recent rallies for Obi and Tinubu in Lagos State, despite a warning issued on September 24 by the leadership of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, declaring that its members endorsing political candidates are not representing the interests of the organization. Many actors have continued to sell their candidates. Nollywood actors John Ikechukwu Okafor, popularly known as Mr. Ibu, Harry B, Anyanwu, and others, had proud to primary elections endorsed the former Lagos State governor. A video on the social media showed the duo openly drumming support for Tinubu, saying he has really impacted on people and deserves to be the president of the country. Comic actor Ibu was, however, cited with Peter Obi during a rally in Jos, Plateau State, a few months ago, also drumming support for the former Anambra governor. Several performing artists, including Zach Ojijide, Kosoko, Gentle Jack, and about 21 other actors, were listed in the 422-member Presidential Campaign Council of the ruling party. The days of cross-dressing may officially be coming to an end for James Brown after he chose to re-embrace his masculinity. The cross-dresser did not only use to dress, speak, and act like a lady, but also fondly referred to himself as the Princess of Africa and Duchess of London. He also wrote a book titled The Chronicles of an African Princess. However, a few days ago, the media personality reintroduced himself as Mr. James Brown, the King of Africa, latest boyfriend of all the girls, and many other titles identifying him as a man. In a particular post, he expressly identified himself as a man whose dream career is to become a big businessman, brand manager, and doctor. In another post, he stated, Mr. James Brown Obialo is off to work as brand manager and brand influencer, actor, and a husband. If man no work, man no go chop. And in a more recent post, Brown quizzed to know the thoughts of his fans as well as other social media users about his latest appearance after having granted their wishes of becoming a man. He asked, now that I've granted the biggest wishes of you all wanting me to become a man, how do you all feel? And now straight to sports news. Nigeria's Quadri Aruna's participation at this year's WTT Cup Finals lasted for less than 1 hour after the African champion was brought down by Chinese Taipei Lin Yunju in the first round of the men's singles at Xinjiang, Pingyang Sports Center. Their second meeting on the international stage saw the Asian star dominate the entire encounter, claiming a quick win in the first two games at 11-4, 11-6. The head-to-head record may be against Aruna, but the Nigerian superstar would not go down without a fight as he fought back in the third game with a 12-8 win to put the tie at 2-1. The Chinese prevented another upset as he raced to the lead from the least point to the end to win the fourth game at 11-4 to complete a 3-1 win over the African star. Aruna's exit put an end to his dream of recording another quarter-final finish after his scintillating display at the maiden edition in Singapore last year. He nevertheless remains the only African to have featured in the WTT Cup finals since its inception in 2021, and his outing last year made him the first player from the continent to reach the quarter-final stage of the lucrative tournament. Highlight of day one was the performance of Puerto Rico's Adriana Diaz, who overpowered Hong Kong China's duo Hoi Kim across 4 thrilling games to seal her first ever win over the world number 9, and with it, her place in the quarter-final draw. Over now to you, Kingsley Mano, for more sports stories.
Good evening and welcome to the Sport Desk on ATN Global News. I am Kingsley Emmanuel. In athletics, former Nigerian track and field internationals have urged Nigerians to continue to vote for reigning world 100 meters hurdle champion and record holder Tobi Amusan as she bid to become the first Nigerian to be crowned World Athlete of the Year by World Athletics. Former African Queen of the track, Mary Ali, and former Nigerian long jump king, Charlton Ozilin, are spearheading the campaign. They are joined, among others, by 7-time Nigerian 100 meters champion, Endurance Ojokolo, winning Nigerian 100 meters fastest man, Olusoji Fusuba, and former Nigerian 100 meters hurdle record holder, Angela Atede, and Olympic World Indoor and Outdoor Championship receiver, medalist Glory Alozie. Amusan is one of the 10 women nominated for the yearly award, and 25% of the votes that she will require to win will come from fans worldwide. And away from that, Lewis Hamilton has revealed he will sign a new contract to remain with his family, Mercedes. Mercedes ended speculation that he would quit Formula One last year by agreeing a new deal until the end of the 2023 season. But the rising hood turns 38 in January is set to continue driving for the Silver Arrows in his 40s. And away from that, Pablo Mari says he and his family are fine, and the lone Monza defender expresses gratitude for the support he has received after being stabbed yesterday. The Spaniard, who joined Monza from Arsenal on a season-long deal in August, is expected to be out of action for at least 2 months after undergoing back surgery following the horrific attack in a supermarket near Milan. One person died and a suspect was arrested after being disarmed, with former Napoli footballer Massimo Tarinto named as being among those who stopped the assaults. Mari stated yesterday that he felt lucky to be alive before posting a picture of himself and his wife giving the thumbs up in hospital on Instagram. And that wraps up the sport news. I am Kingsley Emmanuel, taking you back to the news desk.
Thank you, Kingsley.